Hey guys, welcome back to Football Ninja Podcast. This is the final episode of the year 2020. I'm your host Amit. Joining me today is Karthik. Hey Karthik, what's happening?
All good, Amit. A strange year. Good football. Missed a lot of football. But yeah, I am happy that it's back, and I hope it doesn't stop again, which all the signs are there.
Yeah. So with that, in this episode, we'll be talking about Premier League till now. Let's just talk about teams. Let's talk about transfers. Let's talk about our predictions that we gave initially. And let's start with Arsenal, Karthik. Probably winning FA Cup, winning Community Shield, basically winning from best two teams in England, and then reaching where they are right now. What do you think, and what happened to them?
Arsenal happened to them. To be frank, I think Arteta started well. Coming into the season, they were already high, winning the FA Cup, and then beating Liverpool, who probably played not their first team, not a lot, but yeah, winning the Community Shield, and then they also started well.
Yes,
They started the season well, and then I think that the problem was, and we have spoken about this over and over again over different podcasts, is they're missing somebody who can
Be in the
who can
midfield,
provide
yeah.
the ball, right? Somebody in the midfield there, and I think apart from that as well, combine that with the bad run of form for Aubameyang. He did not score for a lot of games. I think he still has 3 goals right now in the season, and combined with that, they just went without a win for almost 10 games, which sort of put them in the, and at some point people were talking about they're in the relegation battle, but I think they are back to, hopefully they are back to winning ways. Not very happy to say that, but yeah, I hope they're back.
But Karthik, currently in 13th position, Arsenal is fighting. I think they had the last two victories would definitely prompt them to think they're back. But if you just see, as we spoke about, they had that run of 10 games where they did not win anything. And the last 5 games, then you see they won against Chelsea and Brighton now. But previous to that, they lost 2 games, they drew 1. What do you think about that? Like, do you think that template would follow in future, or it's all about the form that they're looking right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think they would just like not to lose games, right now, especially with the bottom teams, and that's also a place where they have been losing a lot of points. And to be very honest, I think it's kind of difficult to foresee Arsenal in the top 4 end of the season, especially with a lot of different teams performing, which we're going to talk about later. But yeah, it sort of seems difficult, but somewhere around 7th or 8th is where I see them, to be very honest.
And also, I think, do you think that now we are heading towards January, where they'll have an option of getting Ozil back? Do you think Arteta will be looking at that?
I hope so, but on the flip side, there's also some sort of transfer rumor that Ozil might move to Turkey, Fenerbahce, to a Turkish club, and if that, I mean, I hope he continues at Arsenal. I think he will be a great addition again to the team. We all know his class, and I hope he does, but it sort of seems very unlikely now that he would be involved. But I think they definitely need somebody like him, and I cannot say this more, and I've said this enough. They definitely need somebody like him in the team to make those chances happen.
And do you feel that if this run continues, do you see Arteta to finish this season, or he would be the second manager after Bilic to get it sacked?
There is a different manager in mind who would be sacked before Arteta, and we'll talk about that. But I think he will. I think he will finish. I at least I hope he should get at least one full season. At least any manager. Any manager should get at least one full season with a team. to although he's completed a year, but a he should get at least one full season with the team to and then take a call.
I think we should talk to Bilic after, I think, drawing against City, got sacked. Big Sam coming.
I think it was. I think it was coming. I think it was something that was already decided that would happen. And he sort of knew that it would be his last game. Because I think it was a very good. I mean,
that
West
game,
Brom,
yeah,
being in the bottom three and then
Yeah.
drawing against City.
City, yeah.
Is a very good result for West Brom. But then I think like I said, I think it was already
I think
decided.
in that position, it was already, as I said, it was already decided. But coming back to Arsenal, like, what do you think about the transfer that they made? You can name Willian going there. Did perform in the first game and then is silent till now. I think gave one more assist. In the last month or something. But which signing for you was the most prominent for you? Yeah, you can talk about Aubameyang getting a new contract, and after that, he I don't know what happened to him. But apart from him, which signing do you think that was good?
I mean, two of them for me, Gabriel and then Thomas Partey, who has missed a lot of games now because of injury. But I think two of them sort of, at least made them look a little better. I think for me, Gabriel has definitely been one of the best players this season. He was also injured, unfortunately. He's injured and then he was suspended. But then he's been one of their best players. But Willian, I mean, there was a reason why Chelsea let him go, right? I mean, he's aging. You don't. Yes, he did perform in the first game, but there are signs that you should know. And I mean, just because he was on a free transfer, he has his family settled in London. Obviously, he's looking for a club in London, which he very well came out and said that. And then Arsenal took the chance, and then it didn't work out.
But not just for him. I think it didn't work out for a lot of other people as well. If you see just from players' perspective in Arsenal, I think we saw. I think in back-to-back 2 games they got red cards. Do you think that somehow shows the mood in the dressing room or with the manager and being Arteta being somehow the student of Pep Guardiola doesn't really work well with players with big ego.
It doesn't. I mean, and I also think that there was a certain level of nervousness, if I can say that, within the team, because they have gone without a win for a long number of games, for a large number of games. But there's definitely that frustration that sort of comes out. We've been hearing a lot of things that are going wrong in the Arsenal back room.
The leaks that are happening.
The leaks that are happening. We don't know how true that is, but a lot of things going wrong there. So that definitely affects the mentality of the players on the field and off the field. So I think that definitely played a role. Combine that with frustration that they haven't won. Like I said, definitely things where things did go a little wrong, but I think they back-to-back wins would do a lot of good for the team.
And the last thing about Arsenal here, what do you think is the changing moment for them? For me personally, I felt that win against Chelsea was that, I think, and they did not win. I think they won with good margin as well. Though the first goal was definitely a penalty, but second and third goal were really good. So do you think that was a turning moment for them, or do you think that is enough for them to not get relegated?
Definitely, that was enough for them, for at least for Arteta not to get. Fired. I think he was under the line, and a lot of people were talking about him, being out. But yeah, I think I agree with you. It was the game against Chelsea. They needed that. They needed that boost in confidence, and I think they played really well. Chelsea did play bad. No disrespect to Arsenal, but yeah, but end of the day, win is a win. So that would have done a lot of good for them.
Moving to the next club, Karthik, Aston Villa. Oh my God, what a story this has been. From escaping the relegation last season to currently number 5 in Premier League. Who would have thought about that?
With 2 games in hand.
Yeah, least number of games played. Yeah.
I mean, you have to give it to, it's not just, people talk a lot about Grealish, but yes, he's a phenomenal player, one of the best players, this season for sure, no doubt about that. But there are other, other players in the team. You talk about Martinez, who's been an excellent goalkeeper, the highest number of clean sheets right now.
With least number of games, yeah.
With least number of games, you talk about Tyrone Mings, who's been amazing in the back line. So
got a red card though.
Got a red card, yes, but and definitely, also I definitely want to talk about Barkley as well, who's after he transferred to Liverpool, he's been really good, playing there. And then John McGinn, who has been amazing. So I think the entire team as a whole has been performing really well. It's not just, and I don't want to single out players, but as a team they have been performing really well. They look very, the spirit in the team looks very high. And they have destroyed teams left, right, center.
You know about Liverpool, how that happened. Yeah.
So it just reminds me of Leicester in 2016 of how they entered, and I think they have a very good chance of finishing in the. If they go on, they have a very good chance of finishing in the top 4 this season.
I think definitely, even if not in top 4, I think they'll definitely get qualified for Europe. This time, and I think the best way to feel if your club is doing well or not. I don't think so. Nobody wants to play Aston Villa right now. With 8 wins, 2 draws, and just 4 losses in the season currently, and obviously played the least amount of games. I think they are a side to not play against right now because the form they're in right now, Karthik. With Dean Smith doing, what do you think changed? Because it's there are definitely a few changes here and there, but then they're not big changes.
In the team, if you look at, there are not big changes. I think that survival last season probably that did a lot of good for them. I think another thing that worked in their favor is not having a lot of injuries, which a lot of clubs are dealing with. Especially if you talk about the top 6 or the top 4 who have been playing in multiple competitions. You talk about Liverpool, you can talk about injuries all day. Tottenham, Chelsea, Manchester United, City, they have all had a lot of injuries and they have to deal with it. I think Aston Villa, Barkley is injured right now, but they haven't had a lot of injuries to deal with. They are only playing in the Premier League, and that is sort of also working out for them. And I think it's not just Aston Villa doing well, but I also think there are clubs which you would normally expect to do well are not doing as well. The reason for that, a lot of games in a short amount of time. And that's going to continue till the end of the season.
And then also with that in mind, a lot of games are getting cancelled as well. I think we just saw Everton City getting cancelled. Now Spurs and Fulham getting cancelled. And as you said that a lot of, it's not just about a single person here. I think Grealish is the 4th highest in assists, but Ole Watkins has scored 6 goals. Though they are not top, but then they're scoring goals when they require. I think the last game when Mings got a red card, they won 3-0. That again showed how confident they are. Regardlessly, they were almost about to get relegated last season. What do you think? What did Dean Smith do to this team? What really happened?
I have no idea, but I hope other managers, or especially the teams you and I support, their managers do the same with their players. But whatever it was, the team spirit, the chemistry between the team, that's been amazing.
Moving to the next team, Karthik, Liverpool, currently number 1. I think they're just 2 points away from United, number 2. doing really well. We expected the kind of injuries that they had. We expected them to lose a lot of points, but they did not. And I think January is when a lot of players are returning.
Yeah.
What do you think about them? And what do you think was the best signing till now?
What do I think about them? They have a very good chance of winning the league again. Definitely. If other clubs keep doing what they are doing, that is not doing very well. And Liverpool, like you said, we've been talking about this, and we expected them to lose a couple of big games, which they have performed exceptionally well. And
especially against Leicester, where we thought that they will be definitely getting belted, but then they proved us wrong.
Yeah, so and they have had a lot of tough games. It's not that they have had it easy. They have had a lot of tough games. They have performed well without their main choice defenders, without Thiago being out for so long. They were Salah was out for some time. Alexander-Arnold and Robertson were out for some time. But that sort of did not affect the team, and that sort of shows you how Klopp is. How the team is built. It does not matter if 2 or 3 or 4 players are out of the team, but
I think at a point in time there were 9 players out of injury, and I feel one of the best signings for me was Jota, and I think he's injured again. With the record till now, Karthik, with 9 wins, 5 draws, and just 1 loss. Do you think Liverpool, if they continue with something like this, they can go ahead and win the? Or it will be still, because for me I think it's a very volatile Premier League this time, especially teams which are in Europe, are in FA Cup, are in EFL Cup. There are a lot of games with this. The entire schedule is so matched up where players are probably playing in 48 hours, which we saw United against Wolves, where Wolves were playing after like just 48 hours. Do you think Liverpool would be able to cope up with teams which is not playing that many cups or not playing that many competitions?
I mean, they have been. We've seen that, and definitely, especially in when once you start rolling into February, you have Champions League also coming in, round of 16, and the Premier League, and with what we are seeing right now. Games being cancelled, you can only expect more games to be played within that time frame till May or June, till when the Premier League is supposed to finish, because I think they are sort of intending to finish the league this season on time, so that the next season could be more or less normal. But again we are seeing that cancellation, so that definitely means more games in less amount of time. I think it's for any team at all right now, it's all about resilience and how they can cope up with that. But it's not just one team or who are being. It's all the teams. So it also depends on what kind of the breadth that you have in the team, and whoever can cope up with that definitely will have the edge.
I think we should take some time to talk about Salah right now. I think number 1 right now in the top scorer for Premier League, 13 goals. Obviously 5 penalties, wink wink. But with that, I think he made sure that Liverpool again is the highest goal scorer till now with 37 goals. Talk about him, Karthik. I think he's gonna break Giggs' record very soon.
I think he's played almost 500 games, some 490 odd games lesser than Giggs. But I think he's a very different player from what Giggs was. And I'm sure he's not gonna be able to break the assist record for Giggs for sure.
Oh yeah.
But
I think he's too selfish for that, though.
He's too selfish for that for sure. I mean, if he gets the ball on the thing, he'll just cut in and then shoot. So, but yeah, I think he's been an exceptional player. I mean, we don't have to, nobody has to say anything. Everybody knows how exceptional he is, and what he brings to the team. Him, Mane. It's you can never talk enough about them of what they have done to this team. People do criticize Firmino a lot, but then he's not the striker or the perfect number 9 that is there, but he definitely brings that different skill set to the team. He more is like, I mean, I don't want to say anchor point, but then for Salah and Mane to make those runs, he holds the ball. You know. So he definitely brings a different sort of an element to the team. Not the perfect number 9 that you would say, but people do criticize him a lot for not scoring a lot of goals. But then when the team is winning, nobody cares.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? When the team is winning, then nobody cares about your stats. But then the stat would always be a problem when you're losing.
Exactly.
And now Liverpool, but do you think that? I don't think so. They are very comfortable sitting on top right now. With Aston Villa playing less games, they might creep up to them very soon if they win remaining games in hand. And I think there is a game between United and Liverpool that's gonna happen. I think in like, if it happens, that will happen in 2-3 games now. I don't think so. Do you think this is the time for Liverpool to feel that they have won it already? Or
Definitely not. I mean, you haven't even, to be honest, you haven't even played half of the game.
Yeah, correct.
But definitely feels good to sit on top. At
End of the year.
End of the year.
Yeah.
That definitely is a good feeling. But I don't think they are not going to be too happy about it and too excited about it to be on top. It's just 2 points end of the day, and they know. I think in the last 2 seasons, especially. If you talk about the previous, not the previous season, but the season before that, they know what it feels to lose the league by 2 points. So they know what it takes to win the league. So I'm sure they're not going to be too excited about it. Not just because they're top of the league. It's just being played 15 games.
What, according to you, was the most important point in this season till now for Liverpool? Don't say Pickford.
I think that game against Leeds initially.
Oh yeah,
I want to talk about that.
But then for me, that was good for Leeds, not for Liverpool, though.
No, even for Liverpool, because that sort of that was, I think that was important for bringing that humility to the team, that you're not the you might have won the league, but you might still not be the best team, or where I'm getting at. It brings that humility that you can still get fucked even if you're the best team. So I think that was an important game for them, where they did win 4-3, but it was still important for players to realize that how difficult or how competitive this league could be.
And also, I think this season itself is so different. I think in a normal season, by Christmas, there are almost 25 games. We have not even played like one third of games till now. I think this season itself has been so different. Let's move to Chelsea, Karthik. What is going wrong with this club, Karthik? Last 5 games, losing 3, drawing 1, and registering just 1 victory. Currently 6th in the position, still 6th, not Arsenal though. But what is going wrong with Chelsea?
Definitely something, and I think I would definitely agree with what Frank Lampard sort of said, in one of the press conferences, where he said, the players started to think they're playing too good, and that's where things start to go wrong. And I think it's not, you can blame all on the new signings or whatever you want to be, but nobody cares about that as long as you're winning the matches. Nobody cares. Definitely we need to talk about what has Werner done, what has Kai Havertz done, or things like that. But if you're for me, the best player probably has been Giroud or Mount. And if your best player is Giroud, and no disrespect to him, to be very fair, he's a very good player. I always said he's very underrated, but he is sort of this third choice right now in terms of striker. And then if he's your best player, if you have to bring him time and again to get the goals, that sort of shows there's something definitely missing in the team. Werner is playing out of position. he did play on the wings uh, uh, for RB Leipzig, but he's a number 9, and he's not getting to play there because, to be honest, Giroud and Tammy Abraham has been performing well. So who do you drop? And on top of that, you have had your wingers injured. So Ziyech is out, Pulisic was out, for some time. So you definitely need somebody to play there, and I think that's what happened. And I think right now what they are basically missing is Ziyech. You see the if you want to see the stats, I think they have scored so many more goals when Ziyech has been playing, and so many more chances created, and that's I think that's the thing that they're missing right now. Pulisic, yes, he's been playing well. Hasn't scored a lot, hasn't assisted a lot, but the games that he's played, he's been very bright. He's played well, but I think things definitely are going wrong. And also, again, like Wolves, they also played, I think, in not even 48 hours, less than that. And that sort of affected. He had to change the back line, in the last game against Aston Villa. And they drew. I think, if you talk about the game against Arsenal as well, they did start badly. They played well for a period of time. Jorginho missed a penalty. Thiago Silva missed a header which he would normally score. So a lot of missed chances. A lot of things going wrong definitely. And Frank Lampard definitely said, especially after the defeat against Arsenal, he said that the players have to take the blame. I'm not going to do it.
that's the easiest way to put all responsibility on the players.
I mean, you should, right? I mean, if you're doing, I mean, I'm not saying Frank Lampard is doing everything right, but there is definitely something that's not going right on field or in the games. If he thinks is, and if you see those missed chances, he would definitely be frustrated as a manager, or any manager would be frustrated with those. And the way that you gave away a penalty, you cannot do anything about the free kick, or you cannot do anything about the third goal that Saka scored. It was
that was a beautiful.
We still don't know if it was a cross, if it was a shot on goal. But you got to take your chances. You're not going to win games if you're not going to do it.
But Karthik, let's talk about Kai Havertz right now. We definitely had a talk about it in the beginning of the season, where Chelsea, because of that ban, made sure that they have the best signings. They made sure that happens before that even transfer window starts. And we spoke a lot about Kai Havertz there as well. It's almost, I can't say in mid-season, but then we're ending this
about 4 months.
But then, do you think he like, from a neutral perspective? I'm not a Chelsea fan. I'm not against Chelsea. But from a neutral perspective, when you see somebody, especially with that price tag, that's what is the easiest thing to see, right? Do you think is he performing? Because I think that there is. He had COVID. There was absolutely no training that every club went through. But is it fair to figure out him right now, or which people are doing, right? People are asking why did Chelsea invest so much money in this 21-year-old kid and then he's not performing? Do you see that?
Yeah, to be honest, it's not fair. I think he's only being judged, like you said, because of the price tag, nothing else, right? And you see, he's young. He's very young. He's coming from a different league, coming into Premier League. I think the first game that he played, the next game, he said it's a very physical,
difficult
league to play in. He sort of realized that, which is good. And it sort of takes time. So I think you cannot judge somebody in 4 months. Yes, you have a lot of expectations when somebody comes with that price tag. But I think I being a fan, yes, I'm sort of disappointed, because I sort of thought more of him. But yeah, I would like to definitely give him at least one season, one full season, or at least the time he has had to work along with the team, to make things happen.
But we're talking about that, Karthik. I think Chelsea is the second highest goal scoring team till now. Where do you think is the defense that is lacking, or is there, because I think Kante is doing really good in midfield, He's getting back in form, that the Kante that we remember, and Silva is there as a presence, and also Zuma is actually doing really well. What do you think is the problem, or which side of the pitch is the problem area for you?
I think it's definitely. I mean, if you say it like that, there is. I think there's no problem in terms of when you talk about which side of the field. It's just these games that they just don't perform well. Like if you see, you can talk about if they have let in a lot of goals, which hasn't happened. Mendy, I think, has 6 clean sheets. Zuma has, I think he's number 1 in number of aerial duels won, and things like that. He's
Goal scored, probably.
Goal scored as well, yes. His goal scored. Chelsea is the team who has scored the most number of goals this season from corners. So I don't think there is a problem in any sort of area of the field. It's just that there are games that they just don't perform well, or there is a problem with that final third where they just cannot create chances in certain games. I think that's the only problem. But if you see as a whole, as a team, I don't think there are problems, in and around. I think, yes, I mean, if you talk about it, there's Werner who hasn't, scored in almost 10 games now, who's had a dry run, but
which is very unusual for him, though.
Which is unusual for him. I think this is the second time that's happening to him after 2016, which he went for again a dry run of form. But again, he's a young guy. He's 24, if I'm not wrong, and let's just give him some time. He's again he's being judged because of the form that he had in RB Leipzig, again coming from Bundesliga. So I would like to give him some more time. I think right now what he's lacking is just confidence. I think he's had a couple of bad games. Yes, he's hit a post a lot of times. Made that save from Tafi, but I think let's just give him some time so that I would like to give him time to fulfill his potential.
So finishing off with Chelsea, Karthik, your best player till now?
A difficult one. Can I name 2? I think for me, I think one is definitely Giroud, who's performed well. Any game that is coming, he's performed well. There is, I'm not gonna say Mendy right now. Yes, he's made a lot of difference, but I think Thiago Silva has made a big difference in that defense.
Surprising. For me, it was always Zuma. For me, it was always Zuma. He's playing really well.
So Zuma is good, but I think it's Thiago Silva who has controlled that backline well. Especially also Azpilicueta hasn't been playing a lot of games, especially in the Premier League. So you have Chilwell and Reece James on the other side. So I think Thiago Silva has done really well to control that backline. Which was also the problem last season. We all blame Kepa. But I think the backline was also. So I think Thiago Silva has done a great job. I think Mason Mount has been really good. Nobody talks about it.
One player, Karthik. Tell me one good player till now.
I said, okay. If you say one player, I'm going to go with Giroud.
Oh, great. Moving on to Manchester United, Karthik. At number 2 right now. In the preseason, we discussed. I think I was expecting them to finish 3, but they have done one better. At least the end of the year.
Yeah.
Number 2 right now with 9 wins, 3 losses and 3 draws. In the last 5 games, they have won 4 and drew 1. I think the last game that they lost was against Arsenal, 1st of November. So basically, they've not lost a game in almost 2 months now. What do you think is going great with them? What do you think can be improved? Or what do you think Ole has figured out with this team right now?
Okay, what do you think is going good? I have just one word for you, Bruno Fernandes.
2 words.
That's 2 words, Bruno Fernandes. What is going wrong? Again, 2 words, Anthony Martial. Actually, 4 words. I'm going to do 4 words.
1000% agreed on that.
I'm going to say another 2 words. Harry Maguire is something that is going wrong with you guys. And we spoke about it a lot as well, but I think again, he's performed well in some matches. Harry Maguire, I'm talking about Harry Maguire. He's performed well in some matches, but in some of them, you sort of feel that you can do better than him in that sort of a position, right? So
and half the wages.
I'm gonna do it with 1/10 of the way. But I think those are sort of things that are, Anthony Martial, again, he's not a bad player. Okay. You play for a club like Manchester United, you cannot be bad. It's just that again, that lack of confidence that he's had.
I think he has a contract with Rashford that whenever Rashford scores, he won't score in that game, or he would miss easy options or easy chances. That's what is happening. That's what I'm seeing, at least in the last 5 to 10 games, where he could have scored but he did not because Rashford scored, or something that was happening with United. Especially if it is a home game, then something really happens to Martial where he's not able to score.
So I think Cavani has been a good addition to the side. We will talk about him more, but coming into the side, everybody sort of doubted that how he will perform. He's old, but he showed once again why he's regarded as one of the best strikers in the world.
Class always would be class,
that experience is, and like I've said, we hope that Martial sort of learns some of those from him and be a little better.
But when we talk about Bruno Fernandes, Karthik, I think he has the most number of goals for United right now with 10, and also most number of assists with 7. But then let us talk a little more about Rashford. I think he's somebody who is kind of overseen because of what Bruno is doing, what the kind of love or the fans that Cavani gets. But I think Rashford had this amazing year for him in and out of the pitch.
On and off, yeah.
And what do you think about him, especially scoring the late winner for United against Wolves? That was a very crucial victory for United.
I think, with Rashford, he's a hardworking guy. I know he missed a lot of chances in the previous game. He could have easily scored a hat-trick against Leicester. He missed a couple of chances, but that's okay. That happens to any player. Of course, you would you'll be sad about it because he missed those chances, but I think he's been in the front line. He's him and along with Bruno, they get their partnership with that midfield and front three is sort of working really, really well. Along with again Cavani coming in, who's I think against Southampton he scored.
That was one of the turning points, especially Cavani there. Scoring 2, assisting 1, winning that game 3-2 after going down to 2-0. That was a very, very important game for United, especially in terms of confidence. But let's also more focus about what is wrong with United at home. I think away they have the most points in the league right now, but at home the Wolves was their 3rd victory at home. That is very surprising for a United team. Do you think this is also because of there are no fans at home?
I think so. I think that sort of builds that the sort of feel that you get when you're playing at home. Right now you just have speakers giving you that sound, so that definitely makes a difference. But I think now they have been doing that for almost 6 months. They should be sort of used to it, but that definitely makes a difference, and especially when you're playing the big games. If you don't have fans behind you, and then you see there are certain clubs that are allowing fans, that sort of again makes it a little more difficult. But if you ask me I think that's probably the only reason that's going wrong. Or I think because they haven't been performing well at home, sort of know that and then they sort of capitalize on that mentality. There's
some Mandela effect there, because they know they're not playing good at home. But let's talk more about Bruno, Karthik. Let's take some time out and talk about this guy. After he has come into United, I think United has is second to Liverpool in number of points that
Yeah.
they have in Premier League. What an effect that this guy had. Obviously, we have seen a lot of players coming in, good players coming in, and bottle themselves up because of United and the pressure. But this guy has just exploded.
I think he's like people were sort of saying in the beginning he's the next Ronaldo. I think he's outperformed
Yeah.
that definitely, and I think he is no, I'm not going to say one of the key players. I think he's the only key player for most of the successes or most of the games that United has performed well this season, and that has also depended on how Bruno Fernandes has played. He's been your only key player.
Yeah.
Sort of, if I can
because
say that.
because I don't think so. We have seen a off game from him in the past
Yeah.
1 year. He might even if he had an off game, he'll at least come up with an assist.
Yeah.
That's his off game. Because I think that this kind of transfer is so rare that I think this for me this is one of the best transfer of the decade for United. If you see in those terms, and also we were not able to repeat it in this summer window.
Yeah.
Like
He should have been able. But I think he's like if I think if United does finish the season well, I think that sets up United for a good transfer window at least. Hoping Ed Woodward sanctions those funds.
No, but then
Yeah.
United has always been the club which spends a lot, but I don't think so. They go for the right players. Though. That's one
I
thing.
mean, I think one right now. I think two sort of positions that you sort of
Mhm.
need to on three positions. I would say one is you need a good centre back
Mhm.
for sure. A striker, and I say a striker because Cavani probably will be there for another 1 or 2 years max.
And you can't rely on Martial.
You cannot,
Yeah.
And then a defensive midfielder is one that you
Mhm.
definitely need
Mhm.
because Matic is old. Fred is pretty inconsistent, in my opinion. McTominay hasn't played a lot of games this season, so that clearly sort of shows that he's not the first choice for Ole to play. So you definitely need one good defensive midfielder. Not sure who's gonna be that or who's available, but definitely need one. But all you see rumors around are for I just recently read about Christian Eriksen being linked. I mean, you already have Van de Beek sitting on the bench because there's no place to play.
Yeah.
And I don't know where do these rumors come from, but yeah.
But then, do you think that? See, I think this is the closest we have come to a title race in I think 5-6 years now. 15-16 games up, and we are just 2 points away from the leaders. Do you think this season could be that season where if United, I feel there is definitely inconsistency in the team right now. I am not sure when United is going to play a game whether they'll come out winning or not. Especially the game that you saw against Wolves again, right? So that again was a lucky goal that was scored by Rashford. That's not how a champion team wins a Premier League. But do you think that this team could finish top 4 at least?
Yeah, I think so. Again, that depends on if they can continue this form. They have to continue this if they have to finish in the top 4 because, like we said, there's you already have the top 6 teams that are always competing. Arsenal obviously not performing. Chelsea's on 6th right now, and then you have you have teams like Aston Villa, you have teams like
Everton.
you
Yeah.
have teams like
Wolves.
Leicester as well, or
Wolves.
Wolves. So you throw all of them in the mix, and then if you're not consistent, these teams are definitely gonna take their chance.
And your turning moment for this team, Karthik, till this year end.
I think the Spurs game for sure. I think that sort of made them realize what this league could be, or how vulnerable they are. Or sort of woke them up from sleep. Sort of a game.
At least at home. But I think if it was a shock at home, it would have been the Crystal Palace game would have been a better example.
Yeah.
The opener that we lost. But for me, the turning point was exactly opposite of yours. Leeds game. winning 6-2 to your one of the best rivals.
I want to say that, but I did not say that because they were already in a good form. They were already in a good run of form.
But that was a home game, guard. It was a home game.
Okay, I'll give out that. Yeah.
It was a home game, and we spoke about McTominay. He somehow he definitely has a good chemistry with Fred, where he can easily run into those positions where he did and scored. I think the only player to score 2 goals in the first 3 or 4 minutes of Premier League ever. I don't think so that record is up. It's going to break anytime soon. But moving on to the next team, Karthik, Spurs. Jose Mourinho going there for at least 2-3 weeks. They were at number one. What do you think about them, and where do you think they'll end up this season?
It's again, all about consistency. Amit. They did play well. We talk about, they're probably the best players you can talk about are Son and Kane. For me, it's been Højbjerg who's changed the team. If you see, he's protected them from letting those goals in. I think they are one of the teams who has the fewest number of goals against them. Probably after
Aston Villa
and Manchester City. So he's been that anchor. But a lot of people don't talk about, but I think he's one of the best signings again for Spurs, or in the Premier League this season. I don't know what did went wrong. They again similar to what Chelsea had. I think it was a bad run of form, or just did not perform in those games. They have had a match cancelled today, but again I think if you talk about it, I mean, if you ask me what's going wrong, I have no idea. It's just that it's just a bad run of form that they have.
Or is it just a Mourinho style of playing? Because in the last 5 games, they have lost 2 now, and just registered 1 victory with 2 draw. I think their turning point was when we saw them winning against Arsenal. Oh, that was an amazing goal by Son and
even Kane.
That Son and Kane put together. But do you think that they would be able to finish top 4 with this kind of pragmatic approach of after scoring 1 goal against Crystal Palace, they were parking the bus there and then consider a goal there too?
I mean, I would normally say no, but it's Jose Mourinho. So you never know what he will come up with. And I think, I think this season they will finish the top 4. Yes.
What was your best moment with or best player of Spurs?
Okay, best moment, I think against City. They won 2-0 against City. I think that was one of the best games.
I saw again. Well. That the goal was amazing. I saw.
Yeah, that goal I saw amazing. Best player. I cannot choose between Harry Kane and Son. They have both been. I think I'm gonna go with Son. He's been. Kane is good. He's up there. But Son doesn't get the appreciation that he probably deserves ever.
But do you think that that is because he's not from Europe?
Definitely, I think if he was from Europe, he would not be playing in Spurs for sure.
Oh yeah, he would have definitely moved out of there.
He would probably be in one of the big Barcelona,
Inter Milan,
Real Madrid, or Inter Milan
Eriksen
right now.
And talking last thing, Karthik, do you think your best? So you spoke about Højbjerg, but there is somewhere room. Let's talk about Relegón as well. The amazing player for
For sure, yeah.
Obviously he replaced Danny Rose without a wink. But what do you think about him though?
Did you mean without Harry Winks? But I mean he's been really. I think he's done really well. And he's definitely a big upgrade from what they were playing. But I mean he's registered. I think already a good number of assists. I think He's great going forward. He's good He's good
Yeah.
defensively as well.
He has amazing crosses too. Yeah.
Amazing crosses. He's quick. On the field. So he's been again. Højbjerg, Reguilon has been great signings for Marino, I think.
But we can't say the same thing about his former teammate Bale, right?
Yeah,
Came in the same jet, private jet.
Yeah, but we did speak about it, right? And I think is you obviously cannot expect what he was before he moved to Real Madrid or when he was playing for Real Madrid regularly. That fitness level that he requires to play in the Premier League is nowhere near that. But yeah, I think I think he's also suggested that he wants to go back to Real Madrid, or he wants to, he doesn't want to extend his loan.
Well,
next
that's
season.
obviously because the weather is amazing to play golf there.
Maybe. It's more sunny. Probably it's more sunny than in London, for sure. In Madrid, but I think I don't think he's like what people expected. I don't think he's gonna be that.
And last thing about Spurs, your take on Dele Alli's future here. What's going to happen? I think Jose Mourinho is absolutely against him.
Yeah, I mean, any game he plays, Jose Mourinho has
something to
negative
say.
to talk about him. I think there are already a few clubs that are already, PSG being one of them. So I think he definitely has to move if he needs to. And with the Euros coming up, you definitely need some gaming run if you want to be in a team.
Moving on to Manchester City, Karthik. Currently at 8th position with 7 victories, 5 draws and 2 losses. Winning 3 games of 5 and drawing 2. What is happening to Manchester City? I think they've scored just 26 goals till now. I think 21 goals. Let me just say. Yeah, just 21 goals till now. I think City is a team where we always thought about scoring more goals.
Scoring,
and we are not seeing that. What do you think is going wrong? Are the player not in form, or it's just the manager?
I think one is the form for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're missing Aguero a lot. I think he's just come back from injury, and then I think there's also. I mean, I don't know, but I feel there is something going wrong. In the back room, because you see these players who are performing. You talk about Sterling, you talk about Kevin De Bruyne, who were performing really, really well last season. And
I think KDB is still performing well. He has the second or third highest assist
he
till now.
Just has 7 assists right now, right? But you see, like I said, they're missing Aguero. Or Jesus is not a bad striker, but they're just not able to create those goals this season. Sterling hasn't been performing to what he used to. Like I said, with KDB as well, the same thing. Yes, he has 7 assists, but he has not been performing to what we know that he can. Gundogan is not. I think their best player has been Rodri. In midfield, probably for me.
The highest number of passes by
probably for me. But yeah, I think and you see that they can come, especially after you've signed a new 2-year deal. Pep Guardiola signing a new 2-year deal. It's sort of. I'm sure they're not. I sort of feel that they're not winning the league this time. They're not nearly good enough to win
especially
the league
with this form. I don't think so.
Definitely not. They're not. But I also would doubt. But I mean, I also wouldn't doubt them finishing in the top 4. I think they should be able to, as the season closes down. We still have a lot of games to go, and we'll probably, once we have around 25 games played, then we'll probably know better which team or which who's going to be in the top 4.
But talking about City, especially Aguero, Karthik, he is not getting any younger. And this is probably a good season for Pep Guardiola to understand that he has to play without him. Do you see any replacement? Because till now, the number of goals that City have scored are actually hilarious. Because I think a couple of seasons back last season they scored almost 100 goals, though they came second. But I think now they are 21. They are below a lot of teams. I think they're 15th or 14th in number of goals scored. How do you think that would be changed?
I think that they already know that. I think they also know that Jesus cannot be the number one striker. I think they've already started looking at people. We saw a lot of rumors with Martinez being linked with them from Inter Milan, last season. But I think they're definitely gonna go for him. There's a very good rumor that Messi might come to Manchester City. That's also there. But obviously he's not a striker to play with. But he can definitely make that difference. You don't need a striker if you're playing with Messi for sure. But yeah, let's see who they sign in. Probably they might also go in for somebody in Jan because Aguero he's been injured a lot this season.
And what do you think was the best or the turning point for them in this season, and also your best player till now?
I think the turning point for them was definitely the loss against Spurs. For sure, I would say that because then it at least they haven't lost a game since then. But we've seen their form has obviously dipped, but at least they haven't lost a game after that. So definitely that was the turning point. And like I said, the best player for me was Rodri this season for them, which is I don't want to say Rodri. I want to probably say Kevin De Bruyne or somebody like Sterling or or Mahrez, but yeah, it has to be Rodri for now.
Moving to our last team, Karthik, that we have picked, that I have picked, sorry. Leeds, one of the most exciting teams to see. Unlike last year, it was Liverpool, I think. Now, Leeds have taken over to definitely watch that game. They just won against West Brom, I think 5-0 after West Brom scoring an own goal. What do you have your take on this team?
I don't care about if they're losing or winning. I love to see
the games.
Yeah. They are they are entertaining. You see them attack 90 minutes even if they're losing 6-1 or 6-2.
That's something we saw.
They don't care of how many goals that they let in, but they care about the number of goals that they score. And I think that's the attitude that they have had since the beginning. Even we saw that against Liverpool. They did not care that Liverpool scored 3. I mean, we can score 3 as well, and they did.
Yeah.
So, and they have done that with a lot of teams. It's not just Liverpool. So, it's crazy. And you see, you cannot talk enough about Bamford has come in. Played it. I think this probably the first time he's playing. He's not played in the Premier League a lot. He has played a lot in the Championship, but I think he has right now the top or he's one of the top players with the most number of shots.
He scored 10 goals. Yeah, he's in top 10. Yeah,
he's scored even in number of shots that he has had on goal. I think he's number one or one of the top.
Not just him. Leeds as a team has most shots in Premier League right now,
exactly,
and also the most goals conceded. So you can see the disparity right there.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Bamford, Alioski, there's Rafinha. These guys, they just don't care. They just want to shoot on goal. They're just gonna take their chance whenever they get it.
But I think when you see these games, you fall in love with football all over again.
Exactly.
You would just want to watch the game just because how beautiful attacking football is always. Exactly opposite of what we see Jose Mourinho doing.
Or Conte, Antonio Conte. I think these are the kind of managers who sort of came in and brought that defensive mindset to the Premier League. But then that is the reason why you also enjoy Liverpool, right? Because the kind of attacking football they play, the kind of the way they move the ball, it's just mesmerizing to watch.
And let's talk about Bisla Karthik. What an amazing manager he is. I closely obviously saw United's game against Leeds, and there were footage of Bisla shouting at the players around at 80th, 89th minute, shouting at them to attack when they were losing 6-2. I think that shows the mentality, and especially just a team who has just come from Championship. I don't think so. I really think that this is the strategy where they would always finish. They'll never relegate if this is the strategy that they're using. Because even though they lose against United or City, they'll 100% win against the bottom 10 teams.
Right. But I have a very quick question for you. We all regard Pizza as one of the top managers. He's not won a major trophy in his life.
No, but then I don't think so. People regard him top managers because he has won trophies or not. I think people regard him as a top manager because the football that he plays is the football that you want to see. I don't want to see Atletico Madrid playing Atletico Madrid pragmatic football and winning Champions League. Probably that is how it happens. But then when you see a game of Leeds United now, as a neutral, if you don't shout at the match that is happening, then you're not following the right sport.
I think it's more about the passion that he has for the team that he manages, or the passion that he has for the game that makes you fall in love with that game.
And also, if you see from an owner perspective, also in Leeds, right, they've just qualified for Premier League. And with the strategy that Bisla is applied, they'll never get relegated, man. They definitely have more goals, regardless. Even if you end up scoring 10, they'll score 11, or at least they'll equalize by 10. That's what I think. That's the strategy which he does.
And I think they're number 11 right now on the table, which is a pretty good position to be in. Especially if you're up from Championship and you see other teams that have come up. There's West Brom and Fulham who are sort of struggling in the relegation zone again. So I think if you talk about Leeds, they have done a really good job in terms of where they are, and I think if they manage to stay top, they can definitely be much better with a cup. They're definitely gonna sign more players.
Yeah, a couple of seasons down, they'll definitely be challenging for top 4, top 6.
There was a rumor of I also read a rumor about Daniel James going to Leeds, which he was supposed to sign last year, right?
We all saw that in Amazon Prime.
that was supposed to happen, but yeah. Hope to see the same, more of that from Leeds.
I hope Bisla stays there for a long time so that all of us enjoy the football that we really love. With that, guys, closing our last podcast of 2020. Hope you enjoy your last day of this year. Thumbs up, be safe. Take care. Bye, guys.
Cheers, guys.